Welcome, I'm Pastor Ziemann.
And I'm Vicar Dolde.
And you're watching the Pastor-Vicar podcast.
If you did not already know, and that you're watching the Pastor-Vicar podcast show, you're really gonna know it now. It's the Pastor-Vicar podcast.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. Feels like forever for me.
I
here.
know, yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Missed a week because I had a baby.
So that's a pretty good reason, yeah.
Yeah, we've been doing some special ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the last three, we did teaching the faith using fiction with you. We did 2 artwork in the church with Pastor Riley.
Okay.
And
so
now we're getting back to Bible
back
study.
to the nitty-gritty
Yeah.
education of the vicar kind
That's
of thing.
right, yes. Yeah. And I this is the first time that I'm kind of leading it in a long time.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah. I think January was the last
Really?
time that I did this. Because I've been preaching midweek services.
Right.
So
That's
different.
right. Mm-hmm.
But here we are.
He'll be back on Sunday, everybody, and Saturday night. Watch out.
Yes, and it's confirmation weekend. So
It is.
That's it.
Not only confirmation weekend, but new member weekend.
Which, confirmation for them too.
Yeah, there's some adult confirmands and some transfers in and some, what do you call it, faith. There's another way to come in. Has to do with confession of faith, So some people come in that way. Yeah. So we got a number. I don't know the exact number. We're actually tabulating the list right now, and hopefully they'll be there. Yeah, we wanted to have that service earlier, but because of COVID, just didn't think we'd get a good turnout. But we're going for it.
Yeah. Excited about it.
So
let's start in prayer.
Sounds good.
And then we'll keep going. Let's pray.
Okay.
Dear Heavenly Father, be with us today as we study your word and consider the possibilities of preaching for this weekend. Also be with our new members, our adult confirmands, and our youth that are being confirmed this weekend as well. Calm their nerves as they get up in front of everybody, and give them peace in the faith that you've given them, the faith that says what you have us say, that Jesus Christ has come into the flesh and has died for us and rose again victorious over our sin and over death and the devil as well. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. So, we going to do the book?
Well, did you happen to see?
I have not seen what I'm thinking that you're going to talk about.
So, do you know what's coming? You have no idea?
I have an idea, yes.
You have an idea?
Yes. Okay. I thought I heard Pastor Riley talking about this.
Okay. Well, here is the thing. This is
there you go.
The real deal for...
Okay, but nothing's written on it.
Oh, that's okay.
Oh, come on. You got to write.
Well, he said that he said that if you try to write on it, it doesn't come off very well.
Well, just get some paper and print it on there and put a piece of tape on it, because I think you've got to put podcast on there, scene, whatever take. I think that
we do it all in one take.
Director, I mean, maybe you could superimpose that on your...
Nah. That's way too much work. Yeah.
Come on. This is big time.
This is small time.
Well, now that we got this, you've now
That's true.
Elevated this to a big...
So I will hand it to you to do. Now, you can still get a book.
Yeah,
after this,
I will definitely get a book.
But definitely, we'll line up our audio this way. So.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
There it is. That's all it takes.
Take. Roll.
Yeah. Sound. Check. Whatever they say.
And I do have a book that I was kind of looking at, just actually many books that caught my eye and kind of took me back in history. And that's this set of 5 over here.
Oh, the rainbow.
I'll just get one out. I was wondering, what was the set of 5 over there? And This is the complete works of Francis A. Schaeffer. This guy's probably, you're too young for this guy, I think.
Yeah.
You've never heard of him?
No.
Okay, he was a giant. When I was in youth group back in the late 70s and 80s, yeah, I'm dating myself, but this man was like the go-to guy for apologetics,
Oh, okay.
proving the Bible, and
Sure.
and so he's got his complete works. So, Christian view of philosophy and culture. I mean, that's how I remember him looking at. But he's got a lot of other things too. Francis Schaeffer, 1912 to 1984. So let's put some right around that time. Will long be remembered as one of the intellectual and spiritual giants of the century. It's amazing how quickly people forget. His books have been translated into more than 25 languages, 3 million copies in print. Let's see, he's got branches, a fellowship of branches in Switzerland, Holland, Sweden, United States. In a time of moral breakdown and brutal inhumanity, the works of Francis Schaeffer speak boldly in defense of the Bible as God's absolute truth and the sacred value of every human life. Yes, I do believe my youth group leader, he was really big in apologetics and proving the Bible, and he would always direct us to, sometimes we would get Schaeffer's apologetics books, try to prove, because he's always trying to help us in defense. You know, when somebody comes against us in evolution or whatever, sometimes Schaeffer would address some of that. But I don't know what these books are like. These don't seem like apologetics. These, and I don't completely endorse this man. He's definitely wasn't a Lutheran.
What was his background?
That's a good question. I just know he wasn't a Lutheran.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. It just the intellectual and cultural climate of the second half of the 20th century. So it looks like he's looking at philosophies and history here. Yeah, mysticism he talks about. So this is more of a historical thing here. Book 2, Escape from Reason. Book 3, He is there and he is not silent. The metaphysical necessity, the moral necessity, the epistemology. How do you say that? I love those words.
Epistemological.
Ooh, epistemological. This looks like pretty heavy stuff here.
Yeah.
So.
Like kind of a dogmatic sort of.
Yeah, it's kind of feels like. And, I wouldn't be surprised. There's like some Baptist or, some Reformed background. He was probably the big expert. Yeah. So just thought I'd take a little walk in history. And if I would have known I was picking this one, I probably would have done a little research on him and rediscover him again.
But there's no internet down here, so.
Yeah, I know. I'm not so sure I'm going to run and read this book, but... Yeah. It is interesting to know that they're down here. We have these in our library. 5 books.
Yeah.
They're rainbow.
Yeah. There's a lot to look at down here.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Well, I was like, how much work got put into this library, because every book has numbers on it and cataloged, and we are missing the screw tape letters. I don't know who's reading that, but I would really like to know where that is. Yeah.
I wanted to read it several times.
There's a couple C.S. Lewis books back here that are not returned, so I don't. If anybody knows where they are, bring them back, please.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. So there we go.
Yeah.
So tell us, give us a little teaser here. What's going on?
So our text today is from 1 John chapter 4, and I think it. Well, first of all, there's actually quite a lot in this text. It's 11 verses. But I see 3 distinct thoughts in 3 sections. I think you could divide it up. Verses 1 to 3 are its own thing. Verses 4 to 6, maybe a continuation of the same thing, but definitely different. Definitely a different idea is coming in those verses. And then verses 7 to 11 are completely different.
Sure.
Totally new ideas in those verses. So... There's a lot to think about for
Sure.
that. But I think I've narrowed it down. I think I'd like to preach specifically from verses 1 to 3. The ideas that come out in that section. Not that we won't be pulling words and phrases and thoughts from the other parts of the text, but that's kind of I think a lot of the large basis of the sermon, I think, will be coming from that. And lots of interesting things going on in those verses. We're talking about testing the spirits. We're talking about false prophets. We're talking about what it means to confess, and also the spirit of the Antichrist. So it's totally loaded.
Yes.
And we'll just hit the ground running, I think.
And I've had an opportunity to kind of hear what he was rolling around in his mind here, because we used it in some visits that we made last week. He was kind of speaking out loud what was going on in his head, and testing it out. The other section about love, there's definitely a big section there, but that was kind of the theme this past week.
Right.
So, which makes sense, because 1 John is big on that.
Right. Yeah. And just John, the author.
Yes.
It's big on that. Yeah.
Right. Well, I would challenge you. I have done this too, where you just pick one part. In fact, the last sermon I preached, I kind of kept to the first part. But the other thing is, you have to think about anytime you do this is it's not like you're totally skipping the last part. You always think of it as a whole. And, this idea of love could flow into everything else. You don't have to preach on love.
Right.
But the whole idea of the message and the confession is all out of love.
Yeah. True.
So you kind of have to make sure you always keep the full context of it, because you never know when it could come back.
Right.
Doesn't hurt us to hear more about love, for
right.
sure.
Oh, no, not at all.
But yeah, I think you're on the right track. Kind of nailing down that first part, especially in light of the context. Yeah, new members, confirmation.
Yes, definitely.
And for those who will be renewing their vows, basically, the congregation members who are not being confirmed,
right,
this Sunday can act like a renewal or refreshing of your confirmation.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, I'm pretty excited to see what you're coming up, to see how it's changed in a week.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, and even over the weekend as well. And that's...
Yeah, we were expecting, I don't know, something to happen over the weekend to get you thinking about this more.
Sure.
So I'll be curious to see if that happened for you.
We'll see. Maybe not anything specific, but definitely influenced it.
Okay.
And that's kind of the question I thought of for today was to ask, how from your perspective, from my perspective, how did the confirmation retreat go? Because that's what we had this past week, and confirmation and youth retreat.
I thought it went very well.
Yeah.
Probably one of the smoothest retreats we've had. The weather was good for once, all the way through. And it was so nice that the kids were outside until 11 o'clock, almost 11:30. They were playing games out there.
Oh, really?
So,
wow.
Yeah, we were in the fire circle, and they were playing some run around games and making lots and lots of noise. Finally, I had to shut them down because they were so loud. And this camp is split up in two different camps. There's the A-frame side of camp, which is where we are, and then there's the main camp, which has a whole bunch of cabins. And we were on the A-frame side of camp because we don't need as many cabins.
Right.
So they're both on hills, and in the middle there's a deep gully and a little creek that runs through, and a bridge, beautiful covered bridge that goes across. Yep. So if you're on the A-frame side, the voices project across the chasm, and you can hear it clearly.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. The other thing you can hear, they have this carpet ball. If our listeners are not familiar with that, how would you describe it?
It's this raised strip of carpet encased in a wooden box.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Pretty long.
Very long, probably 20 feet.
Maybe not, like 15.
15.
Like 15.
But it's pretty long.
Yeah. And you take pool balls from the game pool, and you you split them in half, and you try to you're playing against one other person, and you're trying to knock the balls that they have set up into a little bucket on the or a little catcher on the other side of the thing, and it's loud because you're slinging it across, and if you miss, you hit the back wall of
you're
this
hitting
big
wood,
thing,
bang,
right? Yeah.
bang, 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 and they just cannot get enough of that game. They're constantly on it, and if you win, you get to stay there.
Yeah, that's
so
house rules.
That's the way it goes.
Yep.
So you're always trying to knock off the guy who is, and girls and guys play
Defending
this.
champion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
All hours of the night. And morning, when can we start playing? And it's like, well, we gotta wait for people to get up because it makes a lot of racket.
Yeah.
And it's on the bottom side of the A-frame cabin, which is where it's like a lodge where the girls stayed.
Right.
So they probably wouldn't appreciate that early in the morning.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty loud.
Yes. The youth were so well behaved this year. It was amazing. I mean, normally they're pretty good.
Yeah.
But I really didn't have to really get too mad about anything.
Yeah.
You don't want the wrath of the pastor ever. So they were really well behaved, very very receptive to the ideas we were talking about, and good discussions, and not afraid to do some things.
Yeah.
We took a hike, climbed a bluff. Oh boy. Just so far God's protected us.
Yep.
That's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah.
Got a bunch of mountain
little nervous
goats.
at a certain point, yeah.
We got a bunch of mountain goats in our group.
Oh yeah.
But the discussions I thought went well too, as we focused on water.
Right.
The theme was H2O. Yeah, Yeah, so we kind of hit that. Water in the Old Testament, water in the New Testament, and then, of course, we brought around baptism.
Yeah.
So they seem to be into that. So, and I want to thank, if there's any moms out there who contributed food or bought food for us, thank you.
Yeah.
We did
That's a
not
big
starve
deal.
this weekend.
Yeah. That's great.
Yep. So overall, great. The effect, tiredness. It was hitting me this afternoon, and Vicar says, "Hey, let's go do a podcast." Like, oh, thank you. I'll wake up then.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it's kind of a letdown after a high weekend.
Sure. Yeah.
There's that Monday morning. Oh, I gotta go. Yeah, you gotta go. So,
Pastors don't just go to work excited every single day.
no, there's limits, especially when you're aging.
Yeah.
You might be able to do that at 25. Of course, you have
if I get a full night of sleep.
That's what I'm
anymore.
thinking. Yeah, you got another thing. It was really cool that you brought Emma and Simon Peter went to his first retreat.
Yeah.
And
For
he
the worship service on
yes,
Sunday.
and he actually contributed.
Only barely.
Yeah.
He just made a little cute baby noise.
Yeah, it was right at the question. It was almost like he was speaking. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he's ready.
Yep.
I'd-
Watch out, world. Simon Peter speaks.
Yeah.
He speaks in his own way.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep, and then your mother-in-law was there as well.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's great. Great
Yep.
to have them all.
Mm-hmm. So that would be how I thought. How it was your first retreat here.
Yeah. I mean, I'd echo everything you said. It was great. The kids were just a blast to be with and get to know them a little better too.
Mhm.
That was kind of cool. And
Right.
I totally agree about how smoothly and how well Bible study time was going, and I think the outdoor component of it was really special too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
You get
when
those
we
kids outside and they just find they love it, and
right.
that was pretty obvious to see.
And they weren't using their phones. I mean,
No.
they disappeared. Those phones.
Yeah.
They didn't have
There's
a chance.
just so much to do with
There
the people
is.
around them, and that was great.
Yep. When we play, we play. When we work, we work,
Mhm.
and a little bit of both in there. Yeah. So here we are, getting ready for another big weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and you're getting the honor to preach.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know this is the first confirmation service here? I'm not going to preach.
I didn't know that.
You're breaking a lot of my traditions here.
That's right.
What was the other one that I preached every single time? Yeah, until this year. I can't remember what Sunday it was, but I preached every single one of those Sundays. Or was it Saturday? No, Good Friday? No. I don't know. I can't remember. There was one I preached every single time since I've been here, and then you took it. So.
Ash Wednesday? Was that it?
That was it. Ash Wednesday.
I knew it wasn't a Sunday. I was thinking Christmas and Easter at first, but you said
no. That's where I preached. Yeah, but Ash Wednesday, yes, I preached every single Ash Wednesday until this year, and you have confirmation, which is very fitting because you have been a vital part of the class. So awesome. So what are we gonna talk about here, Vicar?
Yeah. So I think my thought was kind of a blend, and I don't even know if we really have to separate it. You made a good point earlier that as we do the Bible study, we'll end up talking about sermon ideas.
Probably.
And
we'll just see where it goes, huh?
Yes. So let's just start by reading the whole text.
Sounds good.
And then I'll kind of maybe we'll kind of hit some of the highlights from the first 3 verses.
What we could do is, I think we did this before, where we just read it and then say, okay, what's jumping out at you?
Right. Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And maybe identify, and maybe you can help us identify those things that are jumping out at you, and then I can throw my 2 cents in there.
Sure.
And
that sounds good.
Yeah. So that includes the love part too. So because this text has multiple sermons in it, no doubt.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you want to read the opening paragraph, and I'll read the second paragraph on your sheet?
Sure, that sounds.
Since there's no numbers there, I never know what verses.
Well, I think we can go sentence by sentence, but I think paragraphs are just fine this time. Let's do that. Yeah. All right, beloved, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see whether they are from God. For many false prophets have gone out into the world. By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come into the flesh is from God, and every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist, which you heard was coming and is now in the world already. Little children, you are from God and have overcome them, for he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world. They are from the world, therefore they speak from the world, and the world listens to them. We are from God. Whoever knows God listens to us. Whoever is not from God does not listen to us. By this, we know the spirit of truth and the spirit of error.
Good stuff there. And we continue on with this love theme from last week. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. Anyone who does not love does not know God, because God is love. In this, the love of God was made manifest among us, that God sent his only Son into the world, so that we might live through him. In this is love. Not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son to be the propitiation for our sins. Beloved, if God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. Good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm seeing some things here. Let's see. I'm really curious though. This is your text right now. Let's see what you're thinking.
Yeah. Well, that first paragraph. If we look just at those first 3 verses, there's some ideas there that I think go really well with confirmation. That when you confess that Jesus Christ has come into the flesh, that's a very similar thing, I think, to making your confirmation vows. In fact, the words Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is basically like a condensed version of confirmation vows, of the creeds, of our core beliefs as Christians. It's totally loaded, and I think we'll spend some time talking about that for sure this weekend. And then there's the continuing thought that he addresses the readers, little children, you are from God and have overcome them. He continues to talk about the difference between those who confess that statement, that powerful statement that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. He contrasts them with the sorts of people that buy into what the false prophets have to say, who believe the spirits that have come from the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he further identifies them and continues to draw the line right between those two camps.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's that third idea, second paragraph, if you're looking at the sheet. It talks about love. And I think it makes for a great conclusion to all this, because I think that first paragraph deals mostly with faith and what we believe about God. But I think this paragraph makes it personal. It's talking about love, that God is love.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we produce the love for our neighbors, for one another, but that God is love, and through him, and because he loves us, we ought to love one another.
Mm-hmm.
And in these verses, you see a very clear, simple gospel proclamation that God sent his only Son into the world so that we might live through him. And that's what it means that love was made manifest.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Some definitely good stuff there.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Yeah. Well, what were you thinking? You said you had some ideas.
Yeah. And I was kind of hinting at one earlier when I said considered everything. And I'll get to that. But first, just a couple things when I noticed, but test the spirits. It's kind of striking to me, and I think I mentioned this in our visits that we made, that if you think of the confirmands, they've been tested a lot over the last year. The confirmands, in case you don't know that, they memorized the small catechism, the first 6 parts, and then they take their test, and they got to get 70% accurate. And then in my class, they do a essay test on topics, so they keep getting tested and tested and tested.
Right.
It's kind of interesting. Here comes another test, but yet where's the focus in this one? Who's being tested? Are the confirmands?
Where do you talk? Which?
The tests, but test the spirits.
Oh, no, not the confirmands.
No, they're doing the testing. How a little flip here.
Yeah, right.
For once, the pressure's off, and now they're turning it on, and they're testing the spirits. So, and then it gives the criteria how to test them.
Right.
So I thought that's kind of unique and kind of an application from the confirmand especially. Also, I was struck too by little children, just the whole idea, little children. Are you offended?
Only a little bit.
And I go back to the sermon I preached on the being children of God. I mean, so here it is. It's all kind of tying together.
Right.
And now we hear him say little children. We shouldn't be going, oh, we call us a child.
Right.
Hey,
It's a great honor.
it's a great thing to be called little children.
Right.
Yes. So this all brings me to what I saw another idea here. It seems to me this text is kind of setting the criteria for what it means to be a Christian. You have the first part, to be a Christian, or to, let's use the words here.
To be of God.
Yes, to be of God, we need to confess that Jesus is coming into the flesh, that he is the one. He is of the flesh. And so if you don't confess Jesus is not from God, then check out. You're out. Okay. Yep. So that's a big one. And so in that we find that there are a lot of people that don't make that check.
Right.
So, but then interesting enough, and this is what kind of struck me here, is the love part is another check, because notice whoever loves has been born of God and knows God. So there we go, criteria. If you know God and you're born of God and you love God, you know him. But notice it says, anyone who does not love does not know God. It's like, check him off. So you have almost two criteria, one having to do the confession of who Jesus is, and the second is the love part, which is really beautiful, because this is the part we're going to struggle with every time because we don't love very well. Mm-hmm. So what's God's answer? Right there. There's a wonderful gospel that God sent his son into the world. Notice it says, not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent his son. So we can check that one off, not because of our love, but because of his love.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So again, I kind of see criteria. And, when we're doing, when we're having education and trying to bring in members, we're, take them through classes, mm-hmm. there's certain things we take them through, kind of getting them ready for membership. Same thing with confirmands. Mm-hmm. This seems like this text is preparing for what it means to be a Christian.
Right. Yeah,
and
I think so.
So looking at it from a whole, I just saw it that way as kind of a checklist for being of God. Mm-hmm. And boy, we all want to be of God, right?
Right.
So it shows you what not to do and what not to think,
right.
and it shows you what to think and how to love.
Yeah.
And ultimately brings us back to Christ, which where we need to be, mm-hmm. because that's where that's the only hope we have. Mm-hmm. So I just thought of that. I mean,
that's great. That ties the whole thing together, and
mm-hmm.
and that's absolutely right. I'd certainly I came into this thinking, 3 different ideas, but
mm-hmm.
no, it's really one idea, and you identified it, I think, right on the head. So.
Well, there's some definite phrases that seem to be the same,
Yeah, there's lots of parallels.
From God seems to be repeated in the whole thing there.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, I can see, though, you could certainly do a Spirit of the Antichrist kind of sermon, which would probably fascinate people because everybody loves hearing about the Antichrist.
Right, yeah.
Absolutely. Like, ooh, is the Antichrist in the world? I mean, maybe you got some questions on that.
Yep.
Can't remember. I thought you did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's always a mysterious topic. But
right.
If you only preach Antichrist, though, I don't think you're really totally preaching the text.
No.
Because there probably will be another Antichrist text. So
yeah, well, sure.
It's there. It's certainly there.
Mm-hmm.
But the spirit of the Antichrist, that's a little different than the Antichrist.
Right. Yeah.
Because this is not actually talking about a person,
mm-hmm.
which that's what most people like to hear about. Oh, tell me more. Are we the last time? It's the Antichrist. Who is the Antichrist? Yeah. So those are just some thoughts. I think it's a fascinating text. I can't wait to see what kind of comes of it.
Yeah.
So where do you want to go next?
Well, let's do the Bible study, because
mm-hmm.
that's the Antichrist thing is the first thing
for sure
we talk about here.
It's there. You can't ignore it.
Yeah. So I have like 3 questions on it, just right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess 2. But the first one is, like, what would constitute someone as being a false prophet, or in the different way of saying it, what spirits are not from God?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's look. By this you know the Spirit of God, every spirit that confesses. And you have a little interesting thing here. Can you explain that?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
We'll keep.
It confesses that Jesus. See, he's teasing you now. Yeah. Okay. Stay tuned.
We'll come to it. Yeah.
Stay tuned for Vicar's little tidbit here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come into the flesh is from God. Okay, so that's the positive. And every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God. Okay, so those are the 2, right?
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's just the opposite of each other. It's the criteria is all about how you look at Jesus. Mm-hmm. If you're from God, then you're gonna confess that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. Mm-hmm. But if you're not, there's nothing more specific to say other than you won't say that. Mm-hmm. We could make a list, and it might be helpful to identify some of the false prophets in the world, and some of the spirits that are influencing us. All sorts of things happening these days that are pulling people away from the faith. Critical race theory, LGBTQ movement type stuff, things that don't seem like they have anything to do with Jesus at all. So maybe they're okay, maybe they're neutral. However, this text is saying if they are not confessing that Jesus is from God, they're no good.
Yep, they're false.
They're false.
Yep.
And that's that. There's all sorts of things, even beyond those. I think those are the two biggest ones, but there's all sorts of things. Politics. You could
the whole idea of identifying who Jesus is really the key. I know we talked about in confirmation class in the second year, we talk about different faiths like Islam and Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses and other religions and the common denominator that always separates them is Jesus.
Right.
A lot of them mention Jesus. Every one of them mentions Jesus. Everyone does not deny it. They will talk about Jesus to you. But what you have to do when you talk to these people is actually get at what they believe about Jesus. Right. And that's what this text is doing, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's in a very simple statement. It's how many words? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like 7 words. Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. That's the statement of faith that identifies a believer. But it's loaded.
And from God.
I know it. It's funny you bring that up because when I was looking in Greek on it, I have to figure this out because I've asked some buddies that know Greek better than me, so hopefully they'll get back to me on this one. But a translation I'm thinking maybe could work is every spirit that can I'm gonna back it up. This is we're looking at verse 2, and in the ESV it says, "By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh is from God. And every spirit that does not confess Jesus is not from God." But the way that it is kind of put in Greek could maybe, if I'm at all going in the right direction on this, it could maybe the is from God, those 3 words, could actually be part of the confession that's being made by believers. So it would say something more like, "By this you know the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ is the one who has come into the flesh from God." So a little bit of a different shift.
I think that makes a big difference.
I actually don't think it does make a big difference because...
Well, I think you're getting at that Jesus is God. That's what I'm getting at. That's really important.
I know it is, but either way you render this, no matter how you translate it, simply by calling Jesus Christ, you're saying he is God. Okay. So that's where I'm like, you know what? I don't want to shred the bulletin apart and just tell Jerry to print my version of the translation because it ultimately doesn't matter. Although I kind of like that second way that we've talked about it, because it is a stronger way of saying that Jesus is God. Jesus is from God. So
that is a big sticking point.
Yeah. Right, with other religions. Yeah, and other.
Because I'm trying to think that there are a lot of people that think Jesus came into the flesh, but see, if you say came into the flesh, that means he was something else.
Well, if he's the Christ, though, then he's from God, no matter what. So
right.
So and that's all together for sure. I mean, those 7 words, Jesus Christ has come in the flesh. Those words all go together, and that's a complete thought for sure. Whether the fact that is Jesus is the Christ come from God, basically is the idea. I'm not totally sure. I'm not advanced enough.
Yeah,
in Greek to know
but I'm trying to say though, I think that it's still there because he has came into the flesh, meaning that he was God first.
Right.
he was God, and then he came into the flesh.
Yes.
And that's really big.
And the Christ is the same thing as the Messiah of the Old Testament.
Yeah.
And the Messiah was from God.
Okay.
Like, no doubt about it.
Right.
Right. Even if present day Jews would deny it, that's how it was. That's
Sure.
how Scripture put forth who the Messiah was going to be.
And this is a really important point. That's why we're kind of spending some time on it, because again, you talk to the Mormons, you talk to Jehovah's Witnesses, all these other faiths, they will mention Jesus, and they will sound like you.
Right.
They really will.
Yes. Yep.
But you really got to dig a little deeper, and you really got to get to this, that Jesus, God, came into the flesh. That's a really big jump here, that he is God. He came into the flesh. That is incarnation. That's a big fancy word for coming into the flesh.
Yes.
And so that is not quite, they can't go that far.
Yeah.
They have all these different ideas.
Right. They'll basically take this statement, Jesus Christ has come into the flesh, and they'll repeat it back to you, but in their mind there's an asterisk behind one of those words. For the Mormons, it's Christ. Jesus Christ, asterisk, has come into the flesh. Well, they believe he was in the flesh. They believe he was a person. But was he the Christ who is going to take away the sins of the whole world without any effort on our part? No, not really. We still have to do something.
Right, that's what they would say.
Exactly.
Right.
Jehovah's Witnesses, it would be flesh. They would have an asterisk behind the word flesh. They would say, oh, yeah, well, Jesus was the Savior, but he was spiritual. He wasn't a human. He was, that's kind of how these things go, and that's why it's really tricky. And that's that. Now you can start to see why John would say, test the spirits. Test them hard. I mean, and hit them where it hurts, because you want to see if it's true. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's good stuff. And if there are any Mormons or Jehovah's Witnesses listening, we would welcome your feedback.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'd love to hear from you.
Right.
And you can tell us what your church actually says if we're telling the wrong thing.
Right. Yeah.
But based on the documents that we've read, and we have read a lot of them in preparation for our confirmation class.
Yeah.
So you're not quite right on that. But thankfully, I think our church passes that test. We do believe Jesus is come into the flesh.
Right.
So
and
check that one out.
It's from God. Jesus is Christ. Yes.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So now let's start. Okay, we'll talk about the word confess now.
Yes,
because
please do.
Thrown it out.
Because this is really the heart of confirmation, making confession.
Yeah, and I think that this might actually make for the title of the sermon. Because it's so critical, and so relevant for confirmation. So we've used the word confess, and we kind of, I mean, it's a Christian word. You probably know what it means generally, but I love the Greek word for it is homologia. Now, this I
listeners
say that.
Yeah, they're all together now.
Homologia.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, nice.
Now it's. You hear Greek and you might be a little intimidated by it, but actually I think this is a word we could cut up and make it. We could figure out what it means. So homo, obviously a word that you had experience with in maybe a negative way, but what is the basic definition of homo? What is it?
It would be man, right? So a Homo sapien, human.
No, homo means the same.
The same.
Yes. So like when you homogenize milk.
Oh yeah. Yes.
You're emulsifying it.
I'm glad he cleared that up.
Yeah. Yes. Homo means the same, and that's homosexuality.
Yeah.
Means having the same attraction between the same sex.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So homo means the same. To make the same or whatever. Now logia might be a little less familiar. We don't use the word logia super often, but you might be familiar with like logos.
Like
it's
a word.
Yes. It means the word. That's the whenever John talks about the word becoming flesh or the word is God, logos is the word there. So
very familiar with that.
So
word.
If we put those two back together, homologia, the same word. So that's like the noun version of it. Same word.
Okay.
But this is a verb here. So logia as a noun is word, but when you use logia as a verb, it means to speak or to say. And so this word...
Stay like the same though, right? Because it's got to be this.
So homologia as a verb is to say the same thing. That's basically what it means.
Nice.
Say the same.
Nice.
Says the same. So we could...
Vicar's been doing his homework here.
There you go. Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, well, it just jumped right out of me and punched me in the face, so there's not much you can do about that. So if we read our verse again, by this you know the Spirit of God, every spirit that confesses, we could say, every spirit that says the same thing, that Jesus Christ has come in the flesh, is from God. So I as we have simplified this to mean say the same thing, I think that shows us like what confession really is. It's actually very simple. It's to say the same thing as what God says, but also to say the same thing as the believers around you too, to speak with them.
Right.
And that's what confirmation is, right?
Yeah.
It's saying, I'm going to believe exactly what the Bible says about who Jesus is, that Jesus is Christ. He's come into the flesh. He's from God.
And that's where those vows come in and speaking. But I think not only in confirmation, I think it's what the whole business of the church is. When we come together, we say the same thing every single Sunday.
Yep.
And that's those creeds. And we speak them right there. And like I say, it's like we should just turn to each other and tell each other the same. And we're unified.
Right.
And in doctrine and in idea about God.
Yeah.
And the creeds explain it so well. So every Sunday, it's not just confirmation, but on confirmation or new members Sunday, the new members have a chance to speak it out loud as their confession, personal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And really, I think you made a good point too, that when I think you said, I don't know if you said this on film, but you said it earlier, that this is confirmation is a chance too for those of us who are confirmed already to say, I've said that, and I'll continue to say this same thing, that I believe these things, right along with these new people that are for the first time coming forth publicly to say these things.
Yeah, and that's a really big part of this. And now, let's take that same theme here and apply it to the last paragraph.
Yeah. So if we are united, if we're saying the same thing, we're also united in love.
Yeah. Ding. There it is.
I think you just opened the floodgates on that one in a pretty powerful way, because that's another identifier, another marker of a Christian is one who loves
and who is loved by God.
Exactly.
That's really
crucial.
There's the same. I mean, Jesus says the same thing.
Oh yeah.
He confesses his love for us.
Right.
And he takes it and he backs it up with his death.
Yeah.
So it's a great tie-in.
Yeah.
Nicely done. This should be fun.
Yeah. Something that you started to talk about was how we confess. We say the same thing with believers in our lives as Christians, and that's actually one of the questions later in the study. So I think you've identified the creeds already. So if you're listening and you're going to come to Bible study, you've got one of the answers, but there's actually more if we would think about it. And I think let's save those things. But I just wanted to say that.
Okay.
That there's more.
I know where you're
ways
going. I think I know where you're going on this,
yeah.
but you don't want it to.
Let's save it for Bible study.
That sounds good.
And let people give people a teaser for Bible study too.
Yeah, because we're making confession every single time we go to church in many ways.
Yes. Yeah. And even outside church too.
Yes.
Or outside the building.
Yes. Yeah. But there definitely is one that.
Yeah. We'll save it.
Yeah, okay.
What you tell me afterwards.
Listeners, see if you can figure out that there's definitely
several.
There's several, but there's one big one. Yeah. And we get criticized for this, actually.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So I think maybe we'll call it good for now on this. Any other thoughts? We'll just pause there. There's more to the Bible study, but again, we'll hit that on Saturday night, Sunday morning. Anything else that you thought was worth discussing?
Yeah, well, anytime we have this new member Sunday, it's very, very important that our members, the ones that have been there for many years, welcome and encourage. Especially thinking about our young people, as we have had discussions with them all weekend. I mean, we know that they're under a lot of stress. There's a lot of messages that they're getting, and they really need our prayers. They really do. They need our church. They need our youth group. They need they need these things. They need your encouragement. The things that they have to deal with in school, we would never dream of.
Right. Yeah. It's that those spirits, those false prophets.
They are
hitting them hard
in the world. They really are in the world right now. And,
and we can have a lot of sympathy for. I mean, I don't know about you, but I just remember. I think looking back, I was incredibly vulnerable at that age for those sorts of ideologies and spirits
but at least at this point they have a chance because they're living at home. It's just when they go on to college, and then it's even worse. Because now they're on their own and they've got to fend for themselves. So there's another good reason to train up a child in the way they should go. That's really key. But maybe some of you listeners out there might decide, well, you know what, I'm going to adopt this new member, and I'm not going to tell them, but I'm just going to adopt them and mentor, and I'll just pray for them all the time, and I'm going to write them a letter once in a while, or whatever you do.
Make sure to talk to them at church.
Shake their hand, or not. I don't know if you're allowed to shake your hand.
Who knows?
People are doing it more and more now. But just kind of pick somebody out and. Just see what you can just personally take an interest and follow their life, and not being a stalker or anything, just to kind of have a little extra support. It's like some cover, so Satan doesn't get in there because.
Right.
And this is I always tell these people that when they become Christian and they become active members, Satan's not happy.
Right.
And it's like they painted a big bullseye in their back.
Right.
So Satan's going to come after them in the worst ways. So, exciting Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. And just a little note there. This year we kind of have a couple confirmations. We have the youth are split up this year. We have some that are getting confirmed now and then some later in the fall.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
So it kind of worked out that way.
Yeah. It'll be neat to kind of have that stretched out to, to have some kids throughout the year and all that.
Yep. Yeah. So. And that's mainly due to the COVID situation. It's really a difficult time to teach kids these days in the COVID environment.
Right. Yeah.
So just thankfully though we had a couple that made it through, and even through this hard time, and several adults and transfers. Very excited to welcome you to Zion.
Yeah.
All right, this sounds good.
Yeah.
Anything more?
I don't think so. I think
okay.
We'll see what happens on Saturday, on Sunday, and
if this hopefully gets out soon enough, Saturday will be an opportunity for the confirmands. There's two of them to speak their faith in the service.
Yep.
Yep. So that's
the same thing that God says.
Sure.
Right?
And make sure to hope they do it.
Say the same.
They should be fine. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's pray.
Yes.
Dear Lord, we thank and praise you that you have raised up more members in our congregation, and those who are willing to confess their faith and their belief in who you are and what you've done for them. So, Lord, continue to bless them, all those new members and confirmands and all of them. Bring them into our fold here and keep them safe under your word and your divine protection. We bind Satan during this time, that he would have no power over them. We bind him in the blood of Jesus. That's the power. There's the power. We use that promise there each day to assure us and give us peace in this world. Satan is out there, but he is defeated. I ask you to bless Vicar as he continues to prepare for his sermon, and let this sermon not be his, but the Holy Spirit working through him. And we ask for protection of all those listeners out there and the rest of the world. Help us to identify the right voices, not the Antichrist, not the spirit of the Antichrist, that we would follow your word, for that leads to eternal life. Thank you again for all that you've done for us and for being with us today. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Well, let's wrap.
Yep.
That's another one of those, like
Markers?
Yeah.
It's funny because the audio typically is off for the clap. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah.
Really?
So people might notice that this time, 'cause I
Okay.
pointed it
Well, I'll
out.
have to watch for that. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, toodaloo.
Yep. Toodaloo, huh?